Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Health and Fitness The Truth. I'm Christopher McGee, and in this video we're gonna go over stiff leg deadlifts, also known as Romanian deadlifts. Let's get it done. Alright guys, the Romanian deadlift is critically different from a classical deadlift in the sense that you're not bending your knees in order to drop the weight. So what that does is it takes a lot of the tension out of your glutes and puts it into your hamstrings and back in order to maintain control over the weight and keep things in good alignment. So let's go over the cues for this movement. I've already got my ledge where I want it, at a place where I'll have to bend over just a tiny bit, pick it up with good form, and it'll clear its ledge, such that I don't have to be lifting a ton of weight with my arms or my upper body in order to clear it off the ledge where I've got it. So it's where I want it on the ledge. I face the rack. Hand placement, just like with the regular deadlift, you want your hands just wide of your knees. And depending on how much weight you put on your Romanian deadlift, you may want to do a switch grip or flip grip as well, which I've talked about in previous videos. It's just putting one palm back and one palm forward on the bar so that as the weight on the bar rolls out of your grip, it's just rolling further into the other one, which is effectively to say it doesn't roll where it would or it does when you're holding a bunch of weight this way, both palms back, which is normal. So hands just wide of the knees. I'm picking it up with good form. Don't need to round out my upper back in order to get it off the ledge. Or ever. Feet just wide of my hips, shoulders back and down like they ought to be, pelvis right under my shoulders, not back like this. I'm not starting here, I'm starting here. And like I said, you don't bend the knees in order to drop the weight. I'm just hip hinging, just hinging at the hips, keeping the shoulders back and down, and coming right back up, okay? Okay guys, something critical to understand with the deadlift, whether it's Romanian or regular deadlift, and I talked about this in the regular deadlift video, it's the importance of keeping the spine in good alignment and not allowing the shoulders to protract, round forward, and out as you hinge forward from the hips. Watch this, okay? I'll do a bad one and then I'll do a good one, okay? So bad one, well, if I'm starting bad, if I'm gonna do bad Romanian deadlifts, I've probably just got bad form to begin with anyway. I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna round out my back in order to grab this thing, right? And it'll be terrible. Okay? And then as I hinge forward, if I just allow this weight to dominate me, okay? Then my back is gonna round out. I'm gonna allow that weight to pull my shoulders forward and down. And it's my scapula protracting, my shoulders coming forward and down, that is really gonna pull on my upper back in such a way to round out the rest of my back. So even though you feel like you're starting in a good position at the top, because there's no weight pulling your shoulders forward, as you hinge forward and that weight becomes immediately relevant for how difficult it is to keep your shoulders pulled back and down, that weight is gonna pull on your shoulders and it'll cause your upper back to round. So, you really have to think hard, especially in a Romanian deadlift, where more of this load comes into your back. You really have to think hard about keeping those scapula pulled back and down. The scapula staying retracted back and down is really the gateway to keeping the rest of your spine in good alignment. Alright guys, let's go over some origin and insertion points for the prime movers of the RDL or Romanian deadlift. Here's Ozai, of course. We're just going to be looking at a bunch of muscles in the posterior chain. It's pretty simple though actually. We're just looking at hamstrings and some low back really. Okay, so let's look at them. So with hamstrings, you're looking at muscles that come off these sit bones, this os coxa here. We're looking at the back of the pelvis right now, right? And there's three muscles that come from here, cross the knee joint and attach to one or the other side of the top of your tibia and or fibula, okay? So you've got semi-membranosus and semi-tendinosus that come off the os coxa, come down and they insert onto the, semi-tendinosus comes onto what's called the pes anserinus, and it's a shared attachment point right here. So it's kind of the side anterior or front of the tibia. Then you've got, so that was semi-tendinosus that comes down there. Semi-membranosus comes from the same spot on os coxa, comes down and it inserts more on the posterior medial epicondyle of the tibia, okay? And you've got the biceps femoris, which is a hamstring that comes down the lateral side of your leg from the os coxa, okay? There's a long head and a short head, and they both insert on the same spot. They cross the knee joint and they insert onto the head of the fibula as well as this lateral epicondyle of the tibia. But the short head, so the muscle belly itself is connected between short head and long head, but the short head also kind of originates off this distal end of the shaft of the back lateral side of the femur. But anyway, the biceps femoris, long and short head, well, really just long head, starts up here, comes down to here, and the short head comes off here and meets the long head insertion point down here. So those are your hamstrings. Now glutes are technically a prime mover here, but there's so much tension taken out of the glutes by not bending the knees and put into the hamstrings and back. But glutes are technically still a prime mover here. So we can look at the glutes, and they have an origin point all along the posterior side of the iliac crest. It comes into the sacral area, and it comes across all this area and inserts onto the lateral posterior neck of the femur right there, okay? So that's your glute. And then, like so many videos before, anytime you've got a hip hinge happening, you've really got muscles that span the space between the iliac or the pelvis and the spine or the ribs. You're looking again at quadratus lumborum, which originates along the back posterior here of the iliac crest and just covers the space between it and the bottom of the 12th rib, quadratus lumborum, just straight down there. And then of course erector spinae, which as we've gone over so many times, has so many origination points and so many insertion points that it's a mess. But just think of a massive muscle that comes off the iliac, off the sacral area, and inserts onto each and every one of the vertebrae. And as well goes from each vertebrae to the next vertebrae to the next vertebrae, okay? And then as well from the vertebrae out onto the ribs. It's just a massive muscle with a lot going on. But the lower section, just as in a regular deadlift, the lower section of the erector spinae is a prime mover. From the 12th rib up, there's no pull that causes your hips to come forward and your shoulders to come back. There's no pull that causes your torso to come up and back due to any of the muscles from the 12th rib and up, okay? So all the muscles that are back here that are necessary to keep your shoulders back and down and your spine in line through here, they are keeping things stable. But they are, in as much as they're keeping things stable, they are keeping things from moving, so we wouldn't think of them as prime movers. So we've got hamstrings, glutes, erector spinae, and quadratus lumborum as the prime movers, and we've gone over their origin and insertion points. There you go. Thanks, Ozai. Thanks for watching this one, guys. Hit that like button. Make sure you turn on notifications so you know every time I put out another video. Every Monday and Friday afternoon is when I put these out. And share this with any friends if you think they could gain from going over the education we did in this one. We'll see you guys in the next video.